This is a really cool tip of the week, chatting with David, and we thought it'd be good to talk about, a lot of us are starting new websites and new projects, and there are existing players in a lot of the markets we're in, and a lot of us are solopreneurs doing things on our own. So we thought it'd be helpful to provide you guys with a tip of the week, to cover a tip of the week, 5 things you can do right now to make your new community look more credible, almost like a fake it till you make it mentality here. But these are some actionable things that we can all take, even if we're operating successful online communities. So if it's okay with you, David, may I pass it along and we can cover some of these tips here.
Absolutely. So like Jason was mentioning, the tips that we'll cover in this video, they should be applicable whether you have a brand new website, brand new community, or if you've been around for quite a while, but you're looking to kind of improve or increase the level of trust or credibility or legitimacy that you're giving off on your website. So if we jump right on into the first slide here, we'll kind of preface this with a scenario, your brand new website, your brand new membership community, it's ready to go. You've already identified a problem and are providing some sort of solution to that problem. You've identified a niche, target audience, and you're going after it. You've already acquired and connected a great, easy to remember, short domain name. You have clear and concise messaging throughout your website so people know exactly what it is your website's about and what it is you're offering. Your homepage design is clean and simple, and you only have the most important information right up front. And then you've also already established and set up your membership plans as well as your sign-up page. So you've got all the basics down, and now you're ready to start taking on members. But your community and your website, it's the new kid on the block, and people still aren't quite sure if they can trust you. There's no proof out there to show them that your website and your community is seasoned, it's legitimate, and that they can trust you with their information and their time. So what we'll be covering in this tip of the week should hopefully get you on the right track to building that trust, legitimacy, and hopefully a little bit of social proof as well. So the first one here, setting up social media accounts. This seems like the most basic thing to do, but a lot of people, a lot of new websites, new businesses don't do it immediately. They either never get around to it or they hold off quite a bit. But setting up your social media accounts immediately can be a major help. Right after you set up your social media accounts, and you don't need to set up social media accounts on every single platform. If the content you're sharing and your target audience, if it's not applicable at all to Pinterest, then there's no need for you to have a Pinterest page. Maybe all you need is Facebook and Twitter, or maybe Facebook and Instagram, or YouTube and Instagram. It just depends on the content that you're sharing and where your target audience tends to hang out online. But once you've got those accounts set up, you can then start to share the relevant content that you've published on your website. And by doing this, you'll be demonstrating your knowledge and authority within your target niche and to your target demographic. You'll be boosting your brand awareness and loyalty by getting some sort of footprint established on these social networks. You have the potential to increase your web traffic and your SEO value. Your SEO value will increase a little bit just by having those additional links to your website, but it'll increase even more if what you're sharing is then being shared by others, by people who follow you or by people who discover your content on these social networks. This also gives an opportunity to establish some sort of social proof and credibility from your existing members, or at the very least, people who just follow you on these social networks. When people see a certain number of likes on a post, or that it's been shared a certain number of times, or that there's comments on it, that's the social proof that we're looking for, because it shows others that people are following you, they're engaged with you, and they're interested in what it is that you're sharing. And then just an optional thing here, if you do have some sort of marketing budget that you want to put forward into social media advertising, you can certainly do that as well. There's a lot of options to really hone in on highly targeted demographics. But I'd say when you're starting out initially, you probably don't need to focus on that. I think focusing on publishing that really useful and relevant content and then sharing that on social networks and getting that in front of your target audience is really the most important thing here.
And those are all important things. It's great to cultivate a community. Your social media accounts and networks can help cultivate that sense of community among your followers. But even if it's just Facebook and Twitter, again, the key here is you're brand new and you just want to look more established. Start it today. So, as time goes by, it looks like your Facebook page is seasoned. When people are checking you out and making a buying decision, they want to see if your last post was in 2017 or 3 days ago, August 6th, whatever day it is today, 3 days ago, 2021. All they're doing is that check. They just want to see when the last time you posted was. They want to see if you're outdated or you're keeping things up to date. It really doesn't matter what you post. And besides the things of gaining traffic and SEO value and brand awareness, when people do that checkup on your company, when they're checking your storefront, having a post that just happened a few days ago is going to disarm any fears they have that, is anybody still working at this company? Does this company even have a pulse? Like, is anything happening at this company? So remember, besides the SEO and the sharing, and which is all important, is that moment when someone comes to your Facebook page and they're really just checking the last time you posted something. So don't overthink posting. There are some tools to help with automated posting and things like that. But what we're trying to do here, again, is especially for solopreneurs who don't have time to focus on social media because they're doing other things, you just want to make sure that people come and they see that post, and you want to have those recent social media posts beyond all the other benefits of social media.
Yeah, so here's just a sample post. It's nothing really overt, promoting their company, their solution. It's just something that shows and demonstrates that they're an authority in their industry. They have useful information that they can share with people who might be interested in their solution. And then also you can see that there's a little bit of social proof going on with a couple likes on the post as well. So as Jason mentioned, it's really not something that should be overthought. As long as you have relevant content on your website that you can then just share on your social networks, that's the most important thing here.
Right. This is separate than cultivating the community. This is for how do you appear more credible, and a recent posters. So, David, let's actually show one of the tools here that I like is Hootsuite. What you can do, and I think again, it's just to have recent posts showing up on your Facebook, or Twitter, and whatnot. Hootsuite is a way to schedule posts. I think you can even schedule posts directly in Facebook. You can create a post and then schedule the day it gets published. Hootsuite is another tool for that. I think they have a free plan.
They used to have a free plan. But yeah, tools like this, and then especially some of the social networking platforms that do offer like a draft feature or scheduling feature, those are great tools to take advantage of to really better manage your time. If you can take a couple hours out of one day and get all that set up and ready to go, then you never really need to think about it, for the next couple weeks.
And I think when you're starting out, it really becomes cumbersome trying to come up with posts. The best thing you can post is just, instead of coming up with what's happening at your company, is probably just posting related industry news like, hey, it's awesome to see Disney doing X, Y, and Z, and then link to some other article you found. But again, just focusing on this a bit more, it really is just about the user, potential member signing up to your site, seeing a recent post. So I just want to really highlight that point.
Absolutely. So going right along with building credibility, we also need to build trust. I think in this case, they're somewhat synonymous here. And so a really important page that we can take advantage of on our website is the About page. We can turn it into a little bit of a mission page, add a little bit of a mission statement. You could also have a separate Teams page or include some of your team members on the About page. If it's just yourself, like Jason mentioned, you're a solopreneur, you can certainly just add a picture of yourself and a little background information of yourself. This way people know that there actually is at least one person behind the website managing it who cares about it, make sure everything's running smoothly. So by having a strong About and mission page, it helps those prospective members see the meaning and purpose of your website and community, and it gives them a clear understanding of what your website's goal is. So it kind of gives them a way to somewhat hold you accountable, hold your website accountable. You're letting them know exactly what it is your intentions are with the website, how your website and your offering is going to benefit them, and they'll be able to understand exactly what it is they're getting out of your website before they actually sign up. So that should help build some credibility. It would also demonstrate that you're seasoned and you're mission oriented. You've done your research, you know what it is they're looking for, and you're confident enough in your solution to tell them exactly what it is they're going to get. Give them some background on you. If you have personal experience in the target industry or the niche that you're going after, mention that on your about and mission page. That way, your prospective members, when they visit this page, they're able to connect with you and have some similarities with you. And that will definitely help build a certain level of trust between the prospective member and yourself, and thus your website. So again, pretty basic, but something that's overlooked a lot of times. It's really simple and easy to whip up an about page, but as long as you add some really useful, meaningful, personal information on there, can make it a lot easier for the prospective members to connect with you and build that credibility and trust with them.
And in a nutshell, what this page is about is telling your brand's story. People love stories. They want to be wrapped in the romance of why you created this community, what this community stands for. They want to get excited about it. They want to know how you, as the founder in most cases, relate to the members who are joining and what problem you're solving for those members, what problem you identified, how you're doing things different, and how you're passionate about what you're doing. This is really about storytelling for your brand, this about and mission page. So it's nice to have pages on how the website works, but again, to get people excited about your community, one thing that you can do is to get them emotionally involved in your cause. And the way to do that is with that about and mission page, which is really almost like the story of your brand and why your company exists page. So you can seduce them a little bit, get them excited, really get them emotionally entangled and get them to rally around your community and how they can get involved either as a member or a participant or a contributor. And that's what this page should be about. And that will help create that connection with people who, again, are on the fence and they understand the functionality of your website, but they really don't understand why you exist. And again, that about and mission page and story page humanizes you a bit, makes you a bit more tangible as a person. It's not some hidden corporation running this weird website that doesn't even have like a contact us button. It's just some weird random organization online. This can make things more personable and create that trusting relationship between someone who's just checking you out for the first time.
And having that story is a great segue into our example here. We actually took a screenshot of our about page on the Brilliant Directories website. You can see here we have some basic stats just at the top, but then we have two really concise individual paragraphs, one on our mission, which is basically explaining what our goal here at Brilliant Directories is, and then our promise, where we're speaking directly to our users, to all of you, with what our intentions are and what we're trying to guarantee all of you. And then, not to make the page too long, we then have a link going to an additional page where it's a little bit longer, several paragraphs with a couple images telling the story of how Brilliant Directories was founded and formed all the way from the beginning to, again, really give that kind of storytelling feel and emotional connection. This way, all of you can get an understanding for the people behind Brilliant Directories, where we're coming from, and what our goals are and where our heads are at and how we think we best can serve you. So hopefully this is a good example for all of you. Again, you don't need to have two individual pages, one for the about and one for the story. If you're just starting out, you can probably just have one short page. But hopefully this gives you a good idea of some elements that you can include in your about page or your story page.
And I think this is a perfect opportunity to show some embarrassing pictures of the founders on that Read Our Story page. So let's take a look at that together. So I think there's so in addition to that page, it comes here and we summarize where it all began. There's those pictures of Matthew and I have a best friend there. Some obstacles we came across, growing our dream. So, these can, Jeff was the first one to really join the team after Matt and myself. It's great to see that there. And really these types of stories can, again, it's romance almost. It can get people excited. You're touching their emotions. So you really want people to fall in love with your brand and mission, and that's going to make it easier for you to onboard them as a potential member.
Good stuff there. So moving on to number 3, your first 100 members. This on its own can seem like a daunting task when you're first starting out. We've covered this in several previous webinars, how to go about getting your first X number of members, and some best practices that you can utilize to get them signed up. But again, the focus of this presentation is showing some level of credibility. And if your website is built around a community or a directory of sorts, then obviously to have credibility, you need to have a certain number of members on your website. So getting that first X number of members is really important. And forming a relationship with those initial members is really important as well, because we can get some really valuable feedback from them. Maybe they're looking for some additional things that we're not offering with our membership plans, or maybe there's some things that they just have no use for that we are offering. So they can really help us better craft the offerings that we do have. And you can provide them with an early bird or a founding member discount. Maybe you give them 50% off their premium membership for life. You can prominently feature them around your website. This is important when people are first coming to your website. If you have some featured members on your homepage or some featured content by your members on your homepage, that lets people know immediately that you do have a community of users on the website. And you can also ask for testimonials from these founding members, because again, the social proof is important when establishing credibility. So once we have those testimonials, we can then sprinkle them throughout our website. We can add a testimonials page where we just list all of the testimonials from our founding members. Again, getting those initial members can seem like a daunting task. We've covered this a lot in previous webinars, some tactics that you can use. But forming that good relationship with them and then utilizing those initial members to build the credibility and display that credibility so that you can capitalize on it and gain more members.
In a nutshell, if you're just starting out, add some content to your site. 100 is an ambitious number depending on your industry. There might not be that many people that you can add yourself that would be good additions as far as searchable listings or founding members, honorary founding members for free, and things like that. So populate your site with content. Another thing that goes side by side with that, let's go to our demo Bootstrap site. You probably don't want to have such a heavy main menu with events, coupons, jobs, all the galleries enabled, classifieds. The more post types that you're making searchable on your site, you should populate those. You don't want to have empty events when you're doing your soft launch on your site. You want to add some events in there yourself. But the more of these you're displaying on your site as available content to search, that's more work, which is fine if you're up for it. But just to be a little quicker, you might want to shrink this down to maybe just 2 post types, maybe just events and coupons, or your blog, just a member directory and coupons. You can choose any combination you want. But fewer post types is fewer data that you need to pre-fill on your site to help you look established and seasoned when you're first starting out. Along with that are your member categories. Some people jump into, I want all the categories on Yelp, or I want all the categories that are available on Avla's lawyer directory, which is hundreds and hundreds of subcategories. Every member category we add to our site, those are areas of your site we need to fill with members. So you may want to slim those down, maybe start with 10 or 20 broader categories and make it easier for yourself to populate those categories with members. You kind of want to pass the click test. If you come to your home page and if you can click internally to some internal links 4 or 5 times and there's valid content there, like from your home page to the about page to a member search results page, and then to the related categories of that are available on a member's profile page, and there's good content in that whole flow, you've done a good job populating your site with some founding content, with some initial content. That's where the idea of adding your first 100 members comes on. It's basically populating your site so it looks like it's been around. It has just enough content where if someone clicks around, they're like, all right, there's something useful here. So figure out what that content is for your site and spend the weekend and do it. You'll be done, and that way anyone you show your website to can't deny that it's actually a useful resource. And the broader it is and less granular, like lots of categories, rather have fewer categories, the more helpful of a resource it'll be, because it's easier for you to pre-fill those areas of your site with meaningful content.
Absolutely. And so this additional information that we have here, this is from a previous tip of the week. The entire tip of the week isn't directly related, obviously being money-making membership websites. This was kind of just a way to show some additional revenue streams that you could implement into your website. But at 12:22 in the video is where we talk about, in this tip of the week, how to sell some ad space and promotions. But really what we covered is how to implement the featured blog article slider, how you can pin featured posts, highlight members in member results, feature members on the homepage, add profile badges to members. So a lot of ways that you can feature members and content on your website.
Most people don't want to be the guinea pig, so if they can come to your site and see that there's already users there, again, it'll ease their qualms about should they sign up with your website or not.
All right, so number 4, this one is probably the easiest thing to do, is get a professional logo made. You can hire a professional graphic designer on sites like Fiverr or Freelancer. There's also some online tools that you can use for free where you can kind of design your own logo. Those tend to be a little generic though, and hiring a professional graphic designer on one of those freelance websites is pretty affordable for what you're getting. And you can hire one of them to make a custom logo for you. For your website and for your brand. So by getting one professionally made by an actual graphic designer, obviously your logo is one of the first things people see when they come to your website, or when they go to your social media page, when they see the profile picture. So by having a great modern professional logo, it promotes a great first impression. And if you get one custom designed by a professional graphic designer, then that means it was actually designed with a concept in mind to fit your brand. So it's not going to be, like I said, something generic or maybe a random icon to go along with your website's name. So it projects a professional image. Again, if somebody comes to your social media pages, maybe before they come to your website, and they see that in maybe the banner on your profile pages or in the profile picture that you have a professional custom logo in there, that adds a great sense of credibility. It also gives your business a custom sense of identity because by having a custom logo, it's not going to be like any other company's logo out there. So that can be one of the benefits to hiring an actual graphic designer over utilizing one of those free online tools where you can kind of make your own logo based on the images and the graphics that they have available for you to use. By having a custom logo, it can also make it easier to build your brand because you do have that custom individual identity. And lastly, this doesn't go directly with your website, but you'll at least have a lot of different formats and variations of the logo. So they'll be much easier to utilize in various areas. Maybe the graphic designer will give you a light version and a dark version of the logo so that you can use them on different types of backgrounds. They'll probably give you different file formats, again, depending on where you're looking to use the logo, where you're looking to upload it. So there's a lot of benefits to hiring a professional graphic designer to create a custom logo for you. And again, it is relatively affordable. I think you can probably get it done for under $200. I'd say the average is probably only about maybe $150 to get a custom logo designed. And it could really make a huge difference to people's perception of your brand.
Yeah, I'm just searching on Fiverr here for logo design. I think it's even less expensive than that, Dave. I think there's people that'll do logos for $20 and things like that.
There we go, super affordable.
Yeah, what I like to do, because I've done this before for helping people with other brands, is maybe you don't want to go with the lowest, but I like to hire like these $20 ones and $10 ones and like maybe a $50 one in there. Again, we're looking to do something quick and doesn't really break the bank or the budget. I like to hire like 2 or 3 of these people and then just they're going to ask you like, what's the mood of your brand and this and that. And they're going to kind of send you stuff that's kind of generic because they're doing it quickly themselves as well. But when you do that across 2 or 3 people, you pay a couple people $20. You're going to find one idea. You can probably modify it with them one time, but you'll get something that fits the look. And actually, to our first point, creating those social media accounts, you can't just put plain text as your, you need a Facebook photo for your company page. You need a Twitter profile photo that has your logo in it for your Twitter page, and so on. So if you haven't got an image logo created for your brand, I do recommend it. Fiverr is an easy place to do it. What you're looking for is something clean and simple. Actually, if my personal taste, I mean, these aren't horrible. It really depends on your market. These more colorful ones are great for like travel, maybe going to an island website and things like that. A bit more sophisticated is like this first one. It's just kind of flat colors, skinny text, legible, easy to read. So again, it just depends on your brand's mood and stuff. I'd always go with something safer. Would be something without as many shadow effects, kind of flatter design, maybe 2 or 3 colors built into it. And then what's cool is when you have this logo created, hopefully you will have chosen some colors as well, some hues of blue or green or orange, red, whatever it might be. Then you can coordinate that with what's in your design settings, and you're choosing your button colors and things like that in your BD admin's design settings. Now you have a cohesive brand look and feel. And then when you add those brand logo images to your social media accounts, now you have continuity. And that continuity also makes you look like you're established. You got your things together as a company. Things are uniform across the different platforms. And again, those seemingly small things are what can trigger someone to want to sign up with your community, and which helps you look, those things help you look more established as well. So if you're still using the text logo maker in the design settings area, it's a great placeholder while you're designing your website and getting things set up. But now if you're past that point, highly recommend getting even the most basic logo created for your company.
Yeah, and here are just some sample logos we found online. Again, moving away from the generic logos, you can see all of these are custom made, and the imagery is related in some name to the name. The one in the middle, Canadian Care, you can see you have the Canadian maple leaf with, it looks like a person right in the middle of it, kind of like the stem. So again, this makes it easy to have that custom individual identity, and it makes it easier to build a brand around that and for people to identify with your brand, with your website, with your community.
Yeah, I really like these. These go back into that flat color look where it's just 2 or 3 different colors make up the scheme. And really kind of modern, clean, legible text. We don't really need to overthink the logo. And hey, you can always rebrand later and change things down the road. So don't think that you're totally locked into these things. You can get the main direction you want to go in and then move on with the rest of your project. But definitely get a logo made, and you can get them made, it seems, for as little as $10 to $20. So,
and having a simple logo like we see here, it makes it really easy to design your website around it. Choosing simple colors that complement the logo, like in your main menu, your footer. It's really easy to create a cohesive environment on your website, and then transition that over to your social profiles as well.
Absolutely. That continuity and branding is what we're after.
Okay, lastly, pay for press. So this is kind of an old school method, but you can submit press releases for immediate online exposure. Depends which company you go with to submit the press release. PR Web is one that's been around for, I think, like 25 years. They're probably the most popular. But when you submit a press release, depending on who you do it with, it shares your story with targeted media websites, industry publications, blogs, social networks, search engines. So this is a great way to add some quick credibility if somebody's doing, say, like a Google search about your website, about your brand. The other thing with press releases is a lot of times they'll be classified as news. Like on Google, they have different sections, images, videos. They also have a news section. And so when you submit a press release, depending on where that gets picked up and published from, it can end up showing in the news section of Google, which can add some credibility as well. People Googling your website and then seeing that you have some news articles about you. So they're relatively affordable, not quite as affordable as a custom logo, but they are relatively affordable. They give you immediate exposure to those established audiences, depending on where it is distributed. It has major SEO benefits. You get increased web traffic to your website, the potential for others to share the press release on social media. But most importantly, again, going back to credibility, it provides a greater sense of authenticity to your brand and a greater sense that you're going the extra mile to try to get that professional exposure.
What happens is you write a press release. So David's website is shaking things up in the industry. They finally allowed enrollment for public visitors to join David's website. And this is what they're doing different. So if you're wondering what to write about, just write about how your website's different. You're shaking things up for your industry. It's been in demand for a long time, and now it's available for people to join your community. Okay, that's your press release. Cool. So you go to a site like PR Web, and basically, let's see what happened. I haven't been here in a long time, but what you do is there's different pricing. You compare packages, and basically they're going to try to upsell you for like more exposure, more exposure, more exposure. So these are all you create your press release, and all this confusing stuff to select. Let's just choose. So here it is, $289 per news release, this or that. What's cool is when you publish on like a PR Web, basically local news organizations like ABC, NBC, they all have local websites. And what happens is your article gets aggregated to those websites. And you can then technically say, as featured on, as seen on ABC, NBC, whatever. And because the press release article has been aggregated to and pushed on those local websites as well, because when you do these press releases, you choose the country and a few key states or regions where you want the article to be aggregated. What we're really paying for here is the aggregation. Whether that results in real traffic back to your site or SEO value is, I think that's questionable from tools like these. But what it does help it does help with that a little bit. But really, what you can do now is you can make a claim like as seen on this. And say the brand name's website, if it's a noteworthy website, it could be Forbes, Medium, NBC, ABC, Fox, whatever it might be. But that is the real value here. And then you can use this newsworthy news that was written about you by you, which most people don't know that you're the one writing it about yourself, but you can then showcase that on your social media accounts as well, and kind of recycle all this content to, again, build up your established credibility within your industry. Remember, the theme of this tip of the week, let's go back, was 5 things you can do right now to make your new community appear more credible. And that is one of the things to do, is create news about yourself, and then be surprised that news was written about you on your social media. Oh, I love that Fox featured us in their, and then share the press release article there. So just something to think about as behind the scenes benefits of these press releases.
Yeah, and here's just a sample press release. Typically, they're pretty simple. Usually, they're just a bunch of text. But again, depending on which package you go with, the company who's distributing the press release, you can include some images as well. But yeah, like Jason mentioned, they're typically pretty simple, just text, telling a quick story like you're now accepting members, you're shaking things up in your industry, in your local community, things like that.
Awesome. So I didn't create a summary slide, but let's backtrack real quick. Pay for press with press releases like from PR Web. Get a professional logo made. It's definitely worth the $10 or a bit more. Add content to your site. So we said add your first 100 members, but populate your site past the 4 to 5 click test. So if you come to your homepage, is there meaningful content clicking 4 or 5 times on random links on your site? Reduce the number of categories and searchable post types on your site when starting out. This will help you not have to fill so many sections and areas of your site. a strong about and mission page. Again, this is about storytelling. We want people to understand your story, where you're coming from, fall in love with your purpose and your goal, and you'll have them emotionally invested in you, which again adds to that trust and loyalty for them to continue following you. And then lastly is be active on social media. With credibility here, you're just passing the sniff test. They just want to come and see what your vital signs are. When was the last time you posted? Sometimes it matters how many followers you have. People really don't care about that so much anymore. I mean, it is important, but really when I'm personally checking out a company, I'm just curious, when was the last time they posted? Was it 3 days ago or 3 years ago? And if I see it's been really dated, I kind of put my hands up and want to walk away from the situation, whatever that company is selling me. And that's it.